there's a lot to say and there's a lot to do. But what I'm going to try to do today is just give you more of an essence and a vibe around how do we as young entrepreneurs focus on building our businesses going forward. So I've known for this thing called Stand Against Bland, and about 2 weeks ago I launched a book that's called Stand Against Bland. It's a great book. and it's got all the things that you need in order for you to be able to kind of drive what the essence of your business is, and find your vibe and find your energy in the best possible way. Now, I only have been given 30 minutes to talk about a lot. So I've chosen specifically certain things that will help us to be able to take our businesses onto the next level. Are you still with me? Starting. First thing is to talk about the context. Oh, here's the book. It's called Stand Against Bland, available in all the bookstores. Those who've got it, I'll sign it for you later. Those who don't have it, you can get them at the store. Thank you. And my 20 marketing people are going to get the book. Okay, so even though I'm alone right now, but I represent a team of DNA Brand Architects All-Stars who always come with me wherever I go in spirit. Because as young entrepreneurs, we only are, and as leaders of our businesses, we only are representatives of the businesses and the people that we lead. And so I always give homage to them. Now, I'm sorry to say this, but I think it's important. I do believe in the fundamental building blocks of a leader. And I think that this is just some of our team. And that's me there with dreadlocks, just, looking fab. Why this is up is just to reiterate the importance of us being able to be buttoned up in the skills and the areas of the businesses that we're choosing, right? Because if you are a businessman or a businesswoman and you're looking for a service of someone, do you want someone who's qualified or someone who's not qualified? Exactly. So for me, if you are standing here right now, you almost want to finish, but you haven't finished, you have to go and finish. Do you feel me? Because we need to have the basic building blocks in place. And I'm not for that, oh no, you don't have to be educated to be an entrepreneur. I am the opposite of that. Because I think it's not about the education, but it's about finishing something that you start. And if you can't finish something, commit to something, it's going to be very difficult for you to commit to entrepreneurship. And of course there are anomalies, and people talk about Mark Zuckerberg and people who've just left school and became billionaires, but there are not a lot of Mark Zuckerbergs around. So it's very important that we are buttoned up. Are we all in agreement with that? And I must say, I've been very fortunate. A few months ago, my business was the first business in the first 22 years in the history of the Prisms to win a Prism Campaign of the Year for a black-owned, black-run business. And I know that we celebrate that, but the truth is, it's embarrassing to be in South Africa 22 years later, the only black agency to win. That's really embarrassing. Because there should be a lot more of us playing in that space a lot more. And I must say that over time, a lot of people are interested in the story of your business, which is why later on I'll talk a little bit about what is the story of your business. Also important is when you are given an opportunity, what is your narrative? So what is it that you talk about? What is the consistent thing that you talk about your business all the time? Right? Because we know that whether it's Coca-Cola or Telkom or Vodacom, there's always a standard that's always being met, and there's always the same kind of communication that happens. And for me, it's important that when we're given opportunities as entrepreneurs, we also focus on how do we ensure that the narrative of our businesses are strong. And I won the All Africa Young Business Leader of the Year, Southern Africa, a few years ago, thank you. And I was amazed also there, because when you look at the continent as a whole, so we as South Africans, we're really sleeping on what's happening on the African continent. Do you agree with that? We're almost so focused on what's happening around our doorsteps, but we're not thinking about what's happening in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique, what's happening in Ghana, and the opportunities that are there for our businesses. So I would urge us to start thinking a lot more broadly about where our businesses can have the impact, and particularly when you are on the African continent and when you're a young black entrepreneur. And I must say, I know for a fact that my ancestors' wildest dreams, because that was in Cannes, in France, a few years ago, and alongside very respectable individuals who are a little bit on the older side of life. And as a young business, we're also on the same platform, and it shows that whatever the space of your business is right now, it doesn't really matter how long you've been in business. You can make a huge impact very quickly. Do you believe that? Okay, fab. So 2018 was a great year for me and for us as a business. And why I felt this was important for us to talk about today is for a specific reason, and my reason will come back a little later on. Because far too many times we are building businesses and everybody wants to become an entrepreneur, but we're not focusing enough on the results. Do you feel me? We're focusing on wanting to begin and wanting to start, but the story of results for me is probably one of the most important things about starting and building a small business. We won Best Medium-Sized Agency of the Year last year in South Africa. We won Campaign of the Year Silver. We won the Best Launch of a New Product for famous brands. We won Best Up-and-Coming Professionals from our team, which is important. Excellence in Business Communication. And I think this is what helps us to be able to get in the doors of big corporates and businesses. Wouldn't you agree? So it's not that I have a business, but it's also because there is an effective business that is winning in other parts, and that's competing effectively. Okay, and then also, of course, many others. Last year, or this year rather, the last few months, we are South Africa's Campaign of the Year from our office, which is really incredible. Best Launch of a New Product again, and many others. And we were in Canada a few months ago, and we received 6 Gold Quill Awards for 6 of our different clients in business communication. I'm not saying this to show off. Lantolane, it's not about that. Why? Again, 3 weeks ago, we also just won 2 Gold Quills. So it's about the story of results. And I think for me, do you compare yourself with other businesses in your area, in your fields? And maybe even do you compare yourself with other businesses by entering competitions that allow you to take time in and take stock and look at how your business is operating? And that's something that I believe is very important, at least for me, in our business, is that when you are sitting alone, you would always think that your business is the best, right? But when you compare it with someone else, then you know, I have things I need to learn, and I have things that I'm good at, okay? So, being able to look at other businesses in your area, in your sector, and also businesses that are not in your sector that you aspire to be, you also can learn so much more from it. So I always think, let's not be too cushy in thinking, oh, my business is so fabulous, without looking at exactly who else is around me and how best or how better and where can I improve in those areas. So for me, the story of results is probably one of the things that allows for the sustainability of any business, because I'm sorry to say, nowadays, anybody can stand in front here and talk about that they're an entrepreneur, they're running a business for a while, but actually, honestly, today, particularly with social media, I can become anything I want to become. But not all of them have got the grit, they've got the track record, and they've got the results to show what they're talking about. Because let's be honest, and for Runabatu as well, particularly, it's always this, we're talking about the businesses, and we've done this ourselves. But I think it's important that besides just looking at you and having the confidence about your business, it's also important that you're focusing on what is the result of your business. And I will unpack that a little bit later. So when you wake up in the morning to build the business, you are stressed out half the time. How many entrepreneurs agree with me on that one? Okay, there's a few that don't, because they're sliding through, making money and doing well. I think that as you build a business, there are so many fundamental areas that you need to focus on that I know that in the last day and today, you'll have a lot of entrepreneurs who's going to share what they feel is fundamental in the area. And I can't decide what's fundamental for you, for your business, for your sector, but you need to be able to spend the time understanding what that looks like in your area. And today, I thought that let's start thinking a little bit more about what's going to happen in the next year. Are you ready? Yes. Okay. I think that 2020 is going to be a significant year for small businesses. Do you believe that? I don't think you are in agreement. Okay, all right. It's going to be a significant year for us as entrepreneurs, and I'll tell you why. Because we are turning a new leaf. There's so many of us in this room who have got ideas, who've got potential to be able to take those businesses into different spaces, and I think we are unearthing that. And for me, what's interesting and what's wonderful is that today we've got Lamini, and there's so many entrepreneurs in this room. Meaning that the idea that entrepreneurship is only for the lucky few is something that we need to demystify, because it's not. Many of us can be able to do that, provided that we've got the grit to be able to find that. We are unearthing a progressive narrative, and I know that on the one hand, if you go to Instagram, you're going to have entrepreneurs that are on first-class business flights to Dubai, drinking champagne, driving Maseratis, even though their business is only like a year old. There's that side, right? There's that, like the lie of entrepreneurship that we all look at and think that is entrepreneurship. And then on the other hand, you've got some really good entrepreneurs. Young black entrepreneurs who are coming into the space, who are building businesses that are going to be long-lasting. And I think for me, there is a new narrative that you are seeing that says entrepreneurship is not flashy and fabulous and gorgeous. It's hard work, but we are seeing that young people are continuing to do that. We are deconstructing a renewed foundation in terms of how we think and how we want our businesses to become. And I know a lot of young entrepreneurs in my space and around me who are thinking exactly the same way. So there is a new vibe, and that's why I'm really excited about what's going to happen. We are reorganizing our thinking to reignite the excellence of young leaders. And I think that is something that is powerful and that we are seeing. And this expo and this session is a good example of that. So, welcome to 2020. Okay, a year that we as young entrepreneurs are going to redefine what it means to become a young entrepreneur today. Are you convinced? Because if you're not feeling it, I promise you that you're not ready. Are you ready? Okay, I see that you are feeling it. Okay, good. But to do this, to build a successful business, we have to listen. We have to really listen. Now, you have to listen. And I know that you spent yesterday, you're going to spend the bulk of today with a lot of people that are going to be telling you things. Some things are going to make sense to you. Some things are not going to make sense to you. Some things are going to resonate with you. Some things are not going to resonate to you. And it's fine. But listen to what is being said and find what works for you or what moves you and what engages you. We have to be able to listen. But we have to listen to who? We have to listen to our customers. Number one, right? No matter what business it is, listening to our customers and understanding what they think about our business, our products, our services, gives us good insights to what we're doing as a business. We have to listen to our partners. And by partners, I mean like people that we work with. Because half the time, we listen to ourselves as entrepreneurs and we think we've got it all right. But your team, your people, your network, I think can also add a lot of value to what you do. We have to listen to our shareholders. I know that when I say shareholders, people think about someone bought your business, but your shareholders can also be your partners, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your mom, your dad, people in your life who are also supporting you on this challenging journey of entrepreneurship. And we have to listen to how they've stood behind us and supported us in all those businesses. And of course, the men and women who wake up every morning to come and support your venture. A round of applause for those people, Because You can't build a business on your own. You know, you have to build a business with people. So the men and women who work with you and support you in driving this, they're also critical in this journey. So I thought, okay, I want to get into this company because it's one of the best advertising agencies in the country. But how am I going to do that? I called the office and I wanted to find out who I'm going to be sending it to. And I wanted to know if they eat pizza. It was just a stupid question, you know? And they said, yes, they eat pizza. In fact, I think carnivorous or whatever, one of those pizzas. So, in order for me to get into the agency, I took my CV, remember my 3-page CV, all typed up with my letter to say I have to work in this company. And I put it in a pizza box, without the pizza, obviously. And then I went to FCB, great agency, and I arrived, I said, I'm here to deliver pizza for Wing. Then they said, okay. And I lived in Shawela, just down the road. Got into a taxi and I went straight to FCB to go deliver my pizza. But inside the pizza box was my CV. And it says, you have to have the slice of this person. And then, long story short, the pizza thing worked. Oh, so funny. They take me upstairs already, and guess what? The next day, I was in the internship program, and I started working there. So, what are you willing to do to get in? So Nando's taught me that. And then I went to head up marketing as director of marketing for communications for MTV networks. And at MTV, I learned one major thing. If you are not interesting, and if you are boring, customers and viewers are going to switch to another channel. So I'm not going to be at MTV and hoping that someone's going to sit and watch MTV Base. If there's nothing on MTV Base that's exciting, they're going to go and watch Vuzu. So I know that if I want to win the customer, I've got to give them interesting content. So same thing in business. If you continue to give people what they don't want, they're going to go to watch another channel O. And it's important for us to know what our customers are looking for and what it is that they need. And I learned that, and it was an amazing lesson for me. And then, of course, I went to DNA, and at DNA, I learned many other things, and with the team, and blah, blah, blah. And every single morning, I have to say that the nervousness is still there. It's like the weirdest thing. I thought that it's going to get easier when as I grow the business. Boy, I lied to myself. It gets harder because the stakes are bigger. And so I actually think the startup phase is really more exciting because it was a little easier. The risks were manageable. Now it's a lot tougher. And I remind myself that, and I always think of those great businesses. Like a couple of weeks ago, I had a meeting with the CEO of Bollywood. The company is 119 years old. I just think, geez, how do they, wow. I'm like 7 years and I'm already feeling like I've been around for too long. But I think I'm just trying to say that in that process, in that flow, that nervous, that cautious optimism is going to be with you. You're going to have to understand that it's part of it. That nervousness. Do you feel me? It makes you hungry. And of course, over time, I've been able to communicate that and drive many messages that talks to that, particularly in my own experience as an entrepreneur, because I understand that it sucks actually half the time, particularly, areas around people, around finance, around processes. Replicating a business and making it grow is not an easy thing. That's why I have so much respect for those that have come before us who've been able to do it, because we can learn a lot more from them. That's exactly it. We are always the banana, the nunu there. We are always the one fighting against it, fighting against the challenges of building a small business and trying to grow. But you have to, stay focused, stay strong in there. You feel me? Because it's part of it. It's like you can't run away from it. But what you need is like strong feet, man. and be a little bit more nimble, because that's the nice thing about being the young one, or being the player, or the young player. Okay, you get this, right? It's also like a roller coaster ride. I know daily, you can move from an amazing sale to like nothing. A great 2 months and a bad 6 months. So part of this is that you almost have to also have a good heart. Because if they look at our hearts as entrepreneurs, I think they'll be surprised as to how broken and bruised our hearts are. Because it's painful and it's challenging, but it's necessary. It's necessary. And also it's more than just the numbers as well. You know that, right? Because the money does help when you have it in the business, but the challenges of an entrepreneur are not just money problems, There's so many other things that happen that allow us to. So it's about just what impact and what are we trying to do in our communities as well. For me, employing people is more important, for an example, because I think being able to scale up and get people into the economy is something that's quite important for me. Okay. And Bill Bernbeck, one of my favorite advertising men of the century, said, people will always remember, people will not always remember what you said, but they'll always remember what you feel. So I think part of that is how our businesses feel to our customers. Do you feel me? When they interact with us, do they feel anything? Do they feel like, I want to support this guy, or this lady? It's not just I'm selling a burger, because anybody can find a burger anywhere else, right? That is the connection with the entrepreneur. So the importance of us being able to be individuals and people that can drive this is incredibly important. And also knowing for a fact that you're going to be in it for the long run, because it doesn't just go like that, It does go, sometimes a little bit like this. And that's important, that you need to be able to ride the wave, the good and the bad. A lot of great CEOs say that, They say, I've been in business for 10 years. Of the 10, 3 were great, 7 were challenging, but I'm still here. And that's something that's quite important to remember. And you also need to know that you're going to have to reinvent your business quite often as well, hey? Because of how you started it, it doesn't mean that in 5 years' time you're going to still do this very same thing in that same way. You always have to be looking at how do we do it. Like my favorite girl, Madonna, whether she's blonde one day, she's black hair the next day, she just want to keep going, okay? And of course, we can't forget the fact that we have to work hard. So today I'm going to talk about, you're going to stay woke as an entrepreneur, and I'm going to just now get into the meat of my session. Because the truth is the world has changed. You agree? No longer, I can't say to you, you can't say to me as a businesswoman that this bag is the best, and I must say, yes, it is. Because if it's not the best, I'm going to say, sorry, Ma, it's not the best. I'm moving on to the next one. Because nowadays, we don't just tell consumers, in marketing and brand, we don't just say, this is wonderful, now you must go buy. Because consumers are like, oh, please, not interested. Because in the past, it was difficult for them to do that. They have to write a letter, and post it. But now they just tell you on Twitter, they're like, that drink does not taste good. Right? So the world is different, and it means that the feedback is coming very quickly to our businesses. But in such a world, we don't want to be like everyone else, do we? In this world, you don't want to be like everyone. And as an entrepreneur, you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be remarkable. You want to be different. You want people to speak about your business, right? Yeah. And you want to make sure that they share about your business with all their chommies. So that's important. That must be the thing that drives us. So, in order for them to do that, there are a couple of things. For me, firstly, is most entrepreneurs don't know what they don't know. So, they try to do the best with what they know. But I think a great entrepreneur is the one that knows their limitations. Do you agree? You know what you don't know. You go find the information and you make it work. So you're not going to know everything about finance, marketing, operations. Don't lie to yourself. Please don't. Okay? Plug in where it is needed. Okay. Build relationships that are, that are positive on both sides. And I think for me that's quite important. A customer and yourself, there must be an exchange that is meaningful, that makes sense. Because I'm not going to buy your bag if I don't really have a connection with it. You know what I mean? That's important. How many of us like to collaborate as businesses, as entrepreneurs? It's good to see that it's improving. Because entrepreneurs normally be like, oh, this is my one, I'm not going to keep it to myself, I'm not going to share with anybody, and I think that always sometimes kills us with regards to some of the skills and opportunities that can come. And then also being able to broaden our existing dimensions of what our businesses are. Because I'm sorry to tell you, but like, let's be honest, every businessman or woman as an entrepreneur is there to make money. You have to think, but everyone is putting up a banner, but what can you do differently, because you kind of want to try to lift and elevate yourself. I'm sorry I touched you in your studio.
It's funny that you raised that because next week I'm going to be exhibiting and everyone who's coming is going to have a banner except for me. But I've got something else planned.
Don't have a banner.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you. Well done.